Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Edmund, your host for the next 2 hours, along with Spence.
Hello, sir.
Good morning. And Steve is here.
Good morning, boys and girls.
Good morning. And Mike is here.
Yeah, he's back again.
He's back. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And this morning's show is being brought to you by Adamus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals. And the broadcast is made possible by Telestream Wirecast software. And here we are again. Another week went by.
Another one bites the dust.
Swish.
Yep. So what's going on, guys?
Microsoft is being sued for
Again and again and again.
Windows 10 upgrade. Yep.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like it seems petty to me that now, right at the very end, that this is happening. I mean,
is petty the right word?
I don't
is
know.
Petty
what would
the
you,
right word?
What would you say? What is it?
I would say it's disingenuous. I would say it's tricky, sneaky. I would say it is anti-customer.
It's like, it's almost over there. It's almost like one hand doesn't know what the other one does.
But I don't think that's true.
You're saying that it's all planned. That it's
Of course it is. They don't make decisions. Why don't you go into what we're talking about?
We're talking about them doing weird things with Windows 10 anniversary, which at this point, when it rolls out, you will not be able to turn off some of the privacy, quote unquote, features that you thought you turned off. It's going to turn it back on. It's the policies are not going to be there, or most of the policies. There's still going to be some policies, and which you don't have anyway in the lower Windows 10 versions like Home. A Professional still has it. It's going to go away. And the word is that we heard from Andrew yesterday is that Enterprise will still have it. Am I correct by saying
that is correct?
The what?
Yeah,
That is correct.
You're talking about the group policy editor.
Yes. Well, the editor is one thing. I mean, you can get the editor from somewhere else if they take it away, but you're going to use it. It's not going to do anything.
And the policies they're talking about are things like reporting back to Microsoft,
Right.
your habits, your browsing history, your it's telemetry, they call it. They supposedly use it to improve your experience with Microsoft, when in reality it's really just mining for information for who knows what reason.
It's the stuff that we were all told to turn off because it's too intruding.
Too much in.
And
the easy thing to do is just to say, would you like to install using the recommended policies? Click yes. And what you don't realize, you should go in and look at the detail and turn every one of those things off. But now, like you say, you're not going to have that opportunity. I have the machine I'm running on now is a Pro, Windows 10 Pro. All my other ones are Home. This was a clean install.
Morning.
All I used was a Windows 7.
Morning, Nick.
Hey, Nick.
So you don't even have those options on any of those machines besides the one you're on right now?
No, when I installed the other ones, clean installed, the policy setup allowed me to opt out of all the...
Because Group Policy Editor is not even in Windows 10 Home.
No, I didn't use the policy editor to do it. I did it during the install process.
Yeah, so I think for this group policy thing, for most people anyway, they're running Windows 10 Home.
Right.
So it doesn't even affect them.
Right.
No, it's really the group policy editor portion of the argument is going to affect managers who manage other people, other machines.
Well, that's enterprise will still have it, so that's not
But
an issue.
the fact that the policy may go on any machine, the policy, the ability to turn those policies off on even any machine by the user is in question. Can you turn off reporting telemetry back to Microsoft? You should be able to, and it sounds like what they're doing is taking away that ability.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it at all. The stuff that they're keeping you from turning off is stuff that your iPhone is doing, stuff that your iPad is doing, stuff that your Android tablet is doing. Obviously, Microsoft is making a move in some type of model that requires them to have contact with your computer. So I don't have an issue with it.
I dare say at the end of the day. Sorry, go ahead. Spence.
Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
I can say, I dare say at the end of the day, it's a bit like the start menu on Windows 8 when that came out. Start is back was developed and released, and Classic Shell and all the others. I dare say somebody out there will make something to enable you to turn it off or turn some of it off. Well, I'm hoping anyway.
Well, here was the article I read say that they were going to play with the registry to make it so you couldn't change it.
Right, but
Yeah.
who said that you cannot
Well-
add to the registry?
Because they're disabling those the registry keys that allow that to work.
Somebody will figure out a way how to add
That'll be it.
keys back, or I don't know. I'm not a
I
programmer.
just, I don't understand the point of turning all that. The stuff that, like, there's stuff in the settings that you can turn off in Windows 10
Mhm.
that I haven't gone into my group policy editor in Windows 10. And I don't know anybody that has to turn those features off.
After upgrading on that machine, I followed what Dave Computer Tips, what he was talking about, and it's going to the control panel and privacy and just turn each and every one of these things. That's all I did.
That's exactly what I did. That's not this. I don't think.
Well, that's where it's calling home, and that's where it's reporting.
I get that, but they're not turning off.
The ability to do that.
No, I think they're turning off I think you can do I mean, even turning all that stuff off, Microsoft is obviously still in contact with your computer.
Yeah.
So I think and I don't know this, but what I'm thinking is that the stuff that's in contact is more under the hood stuff that I don't know anybody's turned off.
I did when I installed it.
Well, if you
I
did
turned back all the reporting back to Microsoft that I could turn off, all the different selections for Microsoft improvement experience.
Yeah, but those are in your settings. You could turn those off now.
Yes.
I don't think that's this. They're talking specifically about group policy editor. They don't mention anything. I could be wrong with this. I haven't seen any mention to the settings menu, like Amnon said. If you go to settings privacy, I have all of that stuff off. I don't think that is this. I think this is more under the. I think you can really turn off any callbacks to Microsoft and to the effect of it doesn't even see your computer as a registered device on Microsoft's end.
I'm going to try to find the article I was reading that described what was happening here.
I haven't everything I've read talks about group policy, and this privacy stuff I don't think is group policy. I mean, essentially what it's doing is group policy stuff, but I haven't seen anybody say, oh, it's going to pretty much disable the privacy menu in the settings. I don't think that's it. That's why I think everybody's freaking out over all this stuff.
Yeah, maybe we're all wrong.
I think the people that are doing this are I just don't think that. I don't think anybody's actually doing what they're turning off. I haven't talked to a single person running Windows 10 that said, oh yeah, I went into group policy and turned off a bunch of Windows features.
Well, again, the reason I I saw people upset about this. The article I read was they were saying IT managers were not going to like this because they would lose control of if you have a mixed environment of pro and enterprise machines, you can't manage them all as a group anymore. You'll only be able to manage the enterprise machines and not the pro ones. And that's where they were not happy.
That's kind of an issue on their end, though.
If I understand correctly, Pro still has the several of the enterprise features that IT managers want from a domain joining scenario. So
yeah,
if they can't do that, if they can't manage those machines in a domain environment the way they need to,
then they'll have to upgrade those to enterprise.
And enterprise loses some features that Pro has. So enterprise is, I remember installing an enterprise version of Windows 7 on one of my laptops because I had a copy of it, and it actually lost some features. So it's interesting.
Now, when we were talking about all this yesterday, Nick, I don't know if it was you or Andrew that brought up the fact that it's so you cannot turn off some of the apps.
No, so again, what this is, what in the group, the certain, somebody's done research on what things you can and cannot turn off. And I guess there's something in group policy where you can disable all Windows Store apps somehow.
Uh-oh.
Thanks, Microsoft. You can disable all of the apps. And I guess there's a group policy thing for that. That's being turned off. But again, why would you disable all the apps?
Okay, so that's what I wanted to say. I mean, I can see a scenario where somebody in an office, and all they do is they use web access, and they don't want anybody to have any of the apps, nothing else. The only thing you can do on that computer is start your Edge or your Firefox or your Chrome and do the work. Is that what you were talking about? Is that what you understand?
It's Windows Store apps.
So that means that they're not going to be able to download stuff from the Microsoft Store.
No, it's disabling any app that is from the store. Okay. I believe it's disabling the calendar, the calculator, all of that stuff.
All right. So affected policies with removing this is the Microsoft consumer experiences, and that's the one I'm talking about, are editable when you install consumer experiences. And if you turn that off, if the machine has been installed with the default policies, and you can't go back and change it later. So
yeah, I just
so it's a disable all apps from Windows Store. So it's a disable all apps, lock screen behavior, turning off Windows tips, turning off consumer experiences, and official sources for applications and updates.
Again, so Spence, out of those 6 things, I don't see anything in there that's detrimental at all.
Well, it's maybe not detrimental, but it's collecting excessive information, isn't it?
It is, but this is the world we live in, and I've said this time and time again. We've already put ourselves in this situation where we've put ourselves in this situation. It's too late now for you to go, oh no more of this.
Well, you go back a couple of weeks ago, and there was a report the French National Data Protection Commission issued a formal notice against Microsoft, ordering the company to stop collecting excessive data and tracking browsers by using users without their consent, I should say. Sorry. It's saying that the default Windows 10 settings which collect additional information go too far. Complaint says collecting information on all the apps downloaded and installed on the system by a user and time spent on each one is excessive.
If we really were serious about this privacy stuff, we should have been serious about it 10 or 15 years ago. It's too late now for you to go, no more.
Oh, you know what, Nick? I think the big issue is that most people had no idea. They don't know what they're agreeing to when they click OK to follow the recommended policies. So now, as people become more aware of that, you might see a organized backlash against it. Who knows? Most people might just go, like you said, who cares? They already know.
Yeah, the
So I
bottom.
just-
It's like with SOPA, isn't it? So at the time, everyone was saying, "Oh well, let it go on, let it go on," and eventually, when the truth about it came out, and enough people sat up and took notice, yeah, lots of things have happened beforehand. But when it really becomes detrimental and excessive like that, then it is time to stand up and say, "No, that's enough now."
Yeah, this is the thing I see. If you have a cell phone, if you have a smartphone, they are tracking literally everything about you all of the time. So with that being said, I look at this Windows 10 thing and I think, does it really matter? How important is that at this point? You can't turn off any of that privacy stuff on your iPhone. I know, Mike, you have an iPhone. Spence, I think you have an iPhone.
You can turn off if you go deep in and find the frequent locations, you can turn that off.
You can turn location services off, yeah, but
Yeah.
they're sending everything you're doing on that phone back to Apple and or AT&T, Verizon, or Sprint. I mean, they're seeing all the data and everything.
Oh, but we can trust them. We just don't trust Microsoft.
That's why I have a really hard time getting bent out of shape about this, because they're doing it on my cell phone. And I have absolutely no choice. No phone I will buy will allow me that privacy. So
Maybe it's a generational thing. It's to you it's acceptable, to the older generation, hang on a minute, it's not anymore.
I don't think it's acceptable. I just think at this point we're already too far down the rabbit hole.
Yep, that ship has sailed.
Exactly, that's it. It's not that I want Microsoft to be tracking me. It's that, hey guys, we've been letting Microsoft track us for how many years now. Now you're going to decide you want to put the foot down. The ship has sailed. It's too late.
Linux.
So
Linux.
when does the
Well, at some point, somebody's going to have to stand up, and lots of people have to stand up and say, no, this is going too far. Eventually, they're going to keep pushing and pushing and adding things and taking things away to the point where it's going to alienate lots of people.
Yeah,
And
when
then
they do
by
that,
the time maybe it is too late.
I don't mean to be cynical, but my expectation is when the average person sees this, they're going to go, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
Oh well.
you know when things will change, Steve?
I hate to feel this way, but that's just that. That's
Go
what I
ahead.
expect.
Go ahead, Nick. When?
People, Microsoft and these other companies will change when people start doing something different. But right now, if you're going to go out and buy a computer, you have a choice between a $500 or $600 Windows laptop or a $1,200 MacBook. And most average Americans are not spending $1,200 or $1,700 on a MacBook. They're buying a
they don't
$300 to
install-
$700 Windows laptop. That's what it comes down to. Mike said it last night. If Apple made a decent computer, he'd buy it. But what am I supposed to do as a gamer? Go out and buy a $2,700 Mac Pro?
What's the
heard
point? Because
that
it won't play the games.
Exactly, it's not going to play.
At the Democrat convention, though, they promised MacBooks for all.
Yeah,
They said that. I have it.
with them instead of the Republicans, because evil, mean people. But
Republicans only promised Chromebooks.
so I don't know. There's no solution, so we just have to deal with it, unfortunately.
It's going to take time.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see, aren't we?
It's going to take time before Linux is going to be any viable solution to the masses. Because again,
I can't see it
your
the next
Will
5
never happen.
years.
the what?
It's
I
never
can't
going to
see it
happen.
happening in the next 5 years.
I know that's the problem.
And it's not the way I see it. I've dabbled around with Linux plenty. I've got plenty of Linux machines running. It's not the issue is not the programs. The issue is not the operating system on Linux. It's the freaking programs. It's developers
Right.
that, work on these programs. Then 3 years later, all of the dependencies are broken. It won't install. Nothing loads. That's the issue. It's not Linux itself. It's
Right.
that you can't run anything on that computer because, oh, well, this dependency is broken. This package can't be found. Oh, the developer stopped developing this, so that package no longer works.
It's the ecosystem that's broken.
Exactly. It's the ecosystem, and a computer is only as great as its apps, programs, or whatever else. Same thing with a smartphone.
Although I've been happy with, and I installed LXLE Linux on several machines of people with older hardware, and it's worked very well. Now, I haven't run into any issues because they're not people that change often.
And
Exactly.
they do certain things.
They do, yeah. They wanted a word-like editor.
Yeah.
They wanted something for browsing and email, and that was it. So
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Linux is great for like the Chromebook, which is Linux. It's a really great web browser. But that's about it. You know, web browser.
If
and
you only
maybe
do
some
stuff
Skype.
in the cloud, it'll suit you fine.
Yeah, I loved my Chromebook. I still have it. I still use it every once in a while.
And
The
it's
Chromebook
okay
was a
for what
great little
it's
device.
for what it's doing. It's fine.
It's fantastic. A
Yeah.
nice lightweight, like 10 hours of battery life. You know,
Yeah.
little keyboard. It's a great little device. The thing weighs like 2 pounds.
Yeah.
I took my Chromebook down to the auto body shop, and I had it painted matte black,
Oh, nice.
so it could be more in trend.
You should have gotten the Apple logo put on it too.
Yeah.
Hope you had a black
Have you-
MacBook. That would have been great.
Have you seen cars now that one of the trends is to paint them all matte black?
No.
I mean, it looks like some people do it and they just literally have a can of black matte spray paint and they just spray the whole car and just uncover a few things.
Yeah, that's no
But
good.
if it's done professionally, dechroming they call it, right? And some of them are actually pretty slick looking.
All right.
Until
So
you get a bird dropping.
Hmm.
okay, so from last week I talked about needing to get a new SSD and mirroring my current SSD and upgrading. What free mirroring software is available and works? Amnon and Mike have both recommended software, but it's paid software, and I'm wondering
Yeah.
if there's something free that'll do it. I don't know if
I
anybody's
mean,
ever...
you're going to have to use software.
I said free software.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to spend
Okay. And while
$59 on Terabyte Unlimited to copy this hard drive over. I mean, it's just not even worth it. The hard drive was only $100.
are you talking about a one-time thing or ongoing?
No, I need to mirror my SSD over to a new SSD.
You want to mirror is something that's ongoing all the time. You're talking about cloning
I-
it and
well,
that's
yeah,
it,
I
and
need to-
throw
yeah, I
away
need
the
to do a-
program.
Yeah, I need to do a
You
one-time
can
mirror clone.
download. I can't believe I'm
It won't
forgetting the
work.
name.
It won't work. It's not a Western Digital or a Seagate drive.
No.
It will not
No.
work.
You can use the what's the one that Mike recommended?
Terabyte Unlimited?
Yeah, you can use it for. You don't have to pay for it. It's shareware, so to speak. So you can use it at least once, and then forget about it.
So what's it called? Image for Windows then?
Yeah, and I think I see. I don't use it anymore. I think Mike was saying that the one to use is actually Image for Linux.
Okay,
Because
I'll wait
what
for him
it
to get back.
does is it boots Linux and it does an image, and it's a better cloning for the program, while maybe Image for Windows works from within Windows, so it doesn't copy everything. I'm not sure. Mike is the one
Yeah.
to talk about that.
Image for Linux is the one that Mike uses, but Image for Windows, I think, actually backs up all the files. It just locks the system, if you like, as any changes aren't affected in the backup. It's a bit like a Cronus True Image. It locks the system so any changes don't get reflected in the backup while you're doing it.
But when you do True Image, it reboots the computer into their own DOS. Because
If you're backing up C drive, yes.
okay, and I'll bet if it does an image, not a clone, which I hope everybody knows the difference between an image and a clone. When you clone, you're actually creating what Nick is talking about here, a mirror of that drive. An image, it takes the original drive and creates a file on the destination drive that is a backup of that drive, and then you have to run it or use True Image to restore from it. So if you took two drives, put them next to each other, and you ran True Image, and you made an image to the second drive, the first drive, you can go and see all the files. On the second drive, all you will see is one huge file. It's not an ISO, but it's, so to speak, it's something like that.
So you're talking about doing RAID, where you've got
This is what I was asking Nick, if he's talking about an ongoing mirroring, which
No,
is like
I'm not
a
talking
RAID.
about ongoing. I literally need to copy all of the information.
Yeah,
from
I
one
would.
drive to another.
I'll
That's
bet
it.
you if you go to Terabyte and download it, you can use it, and you may be able to use it for 30 days before.
Yeah, there's a 30-day one.
Yeah, there you go.
Gene says Carbonite works. Carbonite's got mirroring software. Merle's
Right,
talking about
Carbonite. You have
Clonezilla.
to. Yeah.
I do pay for Carbonite already, so maybe that's something to look
I
into.
used Clonezilla.
You've used Clonezilla?
Yeah, and it worked okay. Yeah, it was wonky hardware that was a problem that I ran into. It
Okay,
wasn't
so,
Clonezilla.
it did what you wanted. It created
Yes, and it was from a larger to a smaller drive, and it worked.
Okay, then I will look at that then, because it's free, and then I don't have to fart around with trials.
But it's cryptic.
Yeah, as long as it works.
Yeah.
All right. So who just called in?
Thanks, Merle.
Good morning.
Hello?
I can't hear whoever the caller is.
Can you hear me?
Now we
perhaps?
can hear you.
We seem to be cutting out. Maybe I better call back.
Okay. Now you cannot listen to us on the web.
I'm not. I'm in the other room and I have the other off.
Okay, so you're fine.
Oh, okay. My wife just came back from a business trip with a new computer that has Windows 10 and well, now actually it's got 7 on it yet. They didn't put the 10 on, but it has Office 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I open up either Word or Excel, it comes up with the thing with the different choices of instead of just coming up with a blank document. I can't figure out how to do that.
To set the
In other
default
words, it
document
comes up
that it
with
opens.
a whole bunch of pictures, like a blank document, welcome to Word, single space, instead of just going into its templates, evidently.
Spence, what did you say?
I was going to say, was it? No, I forgot what I was going to say.
You said to set the default.
Oh, to set the default. The default start screen for Word.
How do you
Word.
do that, though? I've been playing around with it, and I'm not great at this, but I usually can navigate stuff like Office, but I can't seem to do that.
Did you Google it? Did you Google
I don't
it?
have a 13 machine. I have a 10 machine.
I did a search how to open into a blank document, and it came up with some weird stuff. Getting into registry, and I didn't want to do any of that.
No. How to do the search for how to set the default document.
Okay, I'll try that, I guess. I didn't do that. Because if I click on blank document, it comes up exactly where I want to be.
Yeah, there must be something in there, and I don't know. I don't use 2013.
Okay, well, this is our first go at it. We've been using 10, so.
Let's see. Anybody in the chat?
I think you found something on Tech Republic.
Okay, I'll go back in and I'll just try different. I'll keep playing.
Are you in the chat?
No.
Why?
I don't know. I'm playing around with this computer since 4 in the morning. That's why.
So Wiggs is saying the default is to go to the list of predefined templates and then select the blank document.
But how? That's what I couldn't do. I mean, if you click on blank document,
yeah, it works.
It does open up, but it doesn't open. You have to do that every time. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, he say, and he adds. He says, "Caller just wants to skip the template screen. Why bother?"
Yeah.
And then Spence is posting. Spence, what is that?
It's from Tech Republic. It's how to change the normal template in
there
Windows.
You go.
And Word 13.
Okay, so that's how I put the Google search in, how to change the normal.
No.
I put a link in the chat to but the search I did was change default Word document.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I go back over to the other computer in chat, I'll find it?
Yeah.
You'll find it in chat. It's from Czech Republic.
All right. Well, you guys have been a help. I hate this stuff. I always say this every time they switch up to the new upgrade. New and better. Thank you an awful lot.
Take care. Thanks for calling.
Bye.
Oh, I looked at all the different places you can change this. There's so many settings that drive you insane. But
I mean, Wiggs is saying, why bother? What do you mean, why bother? It's an extra step. So if I always open my Microsoft Word and I start a new document, which most people would do, then that's why.
I was just
you could say the opposite, couldn't you?
Oops, one at a time.
If it always comes up with a blank document and you want to go into the templates, you could say, why doesn't it do that? You can.
Yeah, and then you can make it go and open the thing. Nick, what did you say?
When in the templates, the first option is blank document. Normally,
at
least
just
on
one
mine.
click, isn't it?
Yeah, that's normally what I just do.
Apparently, in 13, it's gotten a lot more complicated.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Yeah. I mean, I have 10 on my main work machine, and I have 7 on this machine because my 10 license stopped installing. So, but yeah, the Windows 7. Oh, I'm sorry, the Word 2007 goes automatically to a blank document. There's no choice the way it's set up. So I haven't experienced that issue.
Now, anybody using a program called Orcus Rat? It says security expert and leading investigative journalist Brian Krebs, in collaboration with security professional Daniel Gallagher, has recently discovered that a popular remote administration tool known as Orcus, that's ORCUS, RAT, R-A-T, is actually exhibiting the sort of behavior which is generally associated with a remote access Trojan. So, if anybody's, I've never heard of such, but just thought I'll mention it in case.
That ORCUS?
Yes.
That has significance because it's not only is it a character in Dungeons and Dragons, but it's a god of the underworld, punisher of broken oaths. What a great way to name your program after some nefarious person from mythology. Whew. Oh well.
Another interesting story here. I wonder what happened to Mike. He's saying the computer
Mike's
is
trying to
crashing.
sort his cameras out. His 910, C910 died. He's trying to get his 920 working.
Okay. Avast.
Ahoy.
Ahoy. Listen to this. Avast conned more than 1,200 people who connecting to a fake Wi-Fi hotspots set up near the Republican convention in the Cleveland airport, using common network names like Google Starbucks and Xfinity Wi-Fi, as well as I Vote for Trump, free internet. An anonymous reader quotes this report from the Register, with mobile devices often set to connect to unknown SSIDs automatically. Stupid thing to do. Users can overlook the network to which they are connecting. Some 68.3% of users' identities were exposed when they connected, and 44.5% of Wi-Fi users checked their emails or chatted via messenger apps. In its day-long experiment, now this was not a fluke. This was done on purpose. In its day-long experiment, Avast saw more than 1.6 gigabits transferred from more than 1,200 users. Avast didn't store the data they collected, but they did report statistics on which sites were accessed most frequently. 5.1% played Pokemon Go. while 0.7% use dating apps like Tinder, Grindr, Grindr, OkCupid, Match and Meetup, and 0.24% visited pornography sites like Pornhub. So they did something on purpose on the outside and set them up like that, and it trapped people.
Way to get blackmailed.
Well, one of the smartest things you can do, especially on mobile devices, if you have, I don't know how it works on Android, but on iPhones and iPads, you have favorite or preferred networks, and go in there and delete the ones that you may have stopped in a Starbucks or stopped in a McDonald's or stopped somewhere that's got free Wi-Fi, and it will automatically turn off auto connect. But first of all, don't let it connect to any preferred networks automatically. So you have to choose to connect, so it doesn't connect in the background, and wipe out the ones that you know you're not going to go back to, or just wipe them all out, except maybe your one at home and a few other preferred ones. Just get rid of them. Get rid of the configuration so it doesn't go there automatically.
Yeah, that's it's every now and then. What will happen is you will use more data from your provider if you do a lot of stuff. If you used to do it all the time because you auto connect, then you will probably use more data, but you'll be more secured. It all depends what you do. And if you want the wife to find out what you do. Now, talking about Tinder, the story goes, Tinder users should be on the lookout for Tinder profiles asking them to get verified and then sending them a link to a site called Tinder Safe Dating. The service asks for credit card information, saying this will verify the user's age. Once payment information has been captured, the user is then signed up for a free trial of porn, which will end up costing $118 a month unless the service is canceled. In Tinder safety guidelines, the company warns users to avoid messages that contain links to third-party websites or ask money for an address. I would say, first of all, over here, they're trying to sound like they are really professional, and they figure that there are a lot of kids there, so they want to filter them out.
A lot of kids.
Well, I mean, if you're trying to verify age, so it's, yeah, Nick, I mean, anybody underage is called kids. It doesn't mean that they are not 8 years old.
Yeah.
But
I thought you had to verify your age. I thought you had to verify your age to start, though.
I don't know. I mean, well, yes.
I would assume you would.
See, Nick is good with those sites because he's using them all the time. So.
No, I know a lot of these sites and apps.
Yeah.
And even my one of my game accounts got hacked on a service.
Yeah.
And to verify my identity, I had to send them a copy of my driver's license. And I would assume that a dating app would 100% require you a copy of your license.
Well,
or something. I mean,
it's very casual.
Is the age verification literally the scroll your age in?
I know it is ridiculous because anybody can lie, but if you ask for a credit card number, that's.
Oh, but asking for a credit card doesn't verify that you're.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it verifies you're 18.
No, you don't have to be 18
I mean,
to have a credit card.
You
you could put a debit. I've had a debit card for many years. I would assume that they would ask for something more than.
Bottom line is be careful.
It's a phishing scam. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's a phishing scam. What else?
Well, Tinder does not have a great reputation, by the way, because it is really, from a dating perspective, it's really a hookup app.
So Tinder is a dating thing, right?
Well, dating is to say it nicely.
Oh.
Well, these are all hookup apps. That's the whole point.
I mean, it's just it's a sign of the times. What can I say? location based. I mean, a regular legitimate dating site. Yeah, they might know what city you're in because they might want to match you up with somebody. But when they use your actual location where you're standing at that moment to hook you up with somebody, that at that moment, there's more to it than just dating. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
All right.
I'm surprised they don't require some type of more age verification than a little, slide your date.
Well, it's like the other ones that just say, "Are you 18 or over?" Yes.
No, they ask you questions about 1960s television. If you can answer the question, then they let you go. Who was the star of Gilligan's Island? Like that kind of thing.
So, Mike, what's going on?
I wish I knew.
What is happening?
The only thing I can tell is my C910 died.
So you're not getting anything.
I have a C920, and I can't find it. I took it to Cleveland with me. It's here somewhere. I'm looking at it, but I had it wrapped in bubble wrap so that it wouldn't get damaged. And as I recall unpacking it, I didn't take it out of the bubble wrap.
So what are you on now?
This is an old C910 on the Windows 10 computer. I had to install Logitech webcam software for it so I can try to adjust the settings.
Mm-hmm.
The settings were available in Skype. Now I can't find them. They're normally down in the system tray, but they're not here now. I'm trying to find out how to get to the webcam controller software.
Open it. It's called...
Well, I know. I was just going through that whenever.
Logitech webcam software.
There's nothing under L for Logitech.
Then you didn't install the whole drivers.
Of course I did.
Do you have the camera icon on your taskbar?
No, that's what I'm telling you.
If the complete driver pack installed, it would have installed the Logitech software with it.
Yeah, so I'm going to try it again and see if it'll work.
Windows 10 should install that automatically.
It'll install the webcam. Yeah. It won't install the Logitech.
In my case, on this machine that I built, it installed it. It put the whole Logitech configuration utility on there automatically. I didn't do it. I plugged the camera in and I just let it go and it did it.
I had to go and install the drivers on my laptop for whatever reason.
This was a very recent version of Windows 10. I upgraded the installer when I did this 2 weeks ago.
Andrew
this, Nick, by the way, is my FX machine.
Andrew is saying it probably just installed the driver and not the Logitech software.
Yeah. Very well may have.
Yeah.
Nick, this is my FX machine.
Your FX machine?
Yeah, I built a new AMD FX.
Oh, okay, AMD FX. I thought you were talking about video FX.
And it's working great. I mean,
Mike,
compared to what I had before.
What's in it?
Well, I only have 8 gig. I didn't buy more memory yet. I'm going to bump it up to 16. But I bought a gaming motherboard. I don't remember the name. I have to go look and see what the name was. But nice features, overclocking features, all this stuff. And I kept my same video card, which happened to be an AMD GPU. And then, but I bought the kind of middle of the road FX. It sits at 32, but you can overclock it up to 4 point something, and 8 cores. And so far, I have everything open on the same machine now that I was doing on separate machines before, and I maxed out at 42% CPU.
Cool.
So it's great. Yeah,
how about the heat?
The heat?
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, I'm not overclocking. So the heat, I'm using the standard fan that came with the processor.
Lord.
I don't really need to overclock. I'm watching temperatures. I'm running that free open hardware monitor and watching temperatures and all that stuff, and everything's fine. I think the GPU is running the hottest.
I had nothing but issues with my AMD machine with heat for the 2.5 years I used it. I don't know what temperature.
Mike, your picture looks okay. I don't know. I mean, you probably want to have the control, but it looks fine.
No, I got to restart now. I'm gonna start it again. I just reinstalled it. Maybe it'll work this time.
All right, that's fine.
CPU is running at 44C, which is like 110 degrees. And let's see. I'm trying to see where the GPU is here. That's the GPU is running hotter at 55C.
Yeah.
So it's a 95 GeForce 9500. Oh, actually, yeah, it's NVIDIA. So that's owned by AMD, right? So it was definitely a poor man's setup. I only spent a fraction of what it would cost me to build a 7. So an i7 machine. I mean, this doesn't come close to an i7, but it's up there with high-end i5s. So far so good.
Hey, I'm looking at this Clonezilla for screenshots to see kind of how the process works. So this creates an image. And I would assume it saves the image to you tell it what drive you want to save the image to?
No, it should be doing both.
What do you mean?
What are you talking about? You talking about looking at the program from Terabytes?
No. The free one, Clonezilla.
Oh, I never used it, so I don't know.
Yeah, there's.
Is there nothing there?
You would imagine it would be a clone program rather than an image program.
Yeah, it says save disk. Save a local disk as an image.
Yeah, that's an image. So there's nothing about clone?
Nope. Well, that's kind of ridiculous to call it Clonezilla. It creates an image.
I used it to clone from a older conventional hard drive to a new SSD, and it worked.
Yeah,
but it's cryptic. That's the thing. It's hard. The defaults are.
Yeah. Well,
the GUI isn't real good.
On my luck, I'll end up wiping all my hard drives.
Yeah. Well, this was not. I was very careful to have backed up the data first.
Maybe I'll try the terabyte one then.
Well, looking on Google, it's clone a hard disk drive in Windows 10 with free software. And it's saying AOMI Partition Assistant Standard can help you migrate OS to SSD. Make a bootable CD, convert style between blah, blah, blah. AOMI, AOMEI, Partition Assistant Standard.
Okay, I'll check that one out.
And there's also EaseUS, EASEUS, to do backup free. Perfect to clone hard drive.
Oh, EaseUS. Actually, I think I've used this before. I think
It's got a clone facility on it, apparently.
Yeah, I think my laptop came with this installed. Interesting.
And another one, AOMI Backupper Standard.
Gotcha.
Which allows you to clone hard drives.
All right, I'll have to figure. I'm so worried about having it not working. I don't even know if I'm gonna end up doing it. I may just end up returning this SSD.
Oh,
get that terabytes one and see.
There are lots of issues with SSDs from a controller perspective, especially when you're dealing with it at the hardware level doing a clone. I noticed that there are compatibility issues and firmware issues and things that I thought would have been resolved by now.
But, SSD to SSD you're talking about?
Yeah, or regular drive to SSD. Just some of the programs just won't work with SSDs properly. Or if you are going from a larger to smaller drive, which is a lot. In many cases, that's what happens with an SSD because you don't buy a 1 terabyte SSD. You just want to move your operating system over or whatever.
Gotcha.
Even if you only have 200 or 300 gig on the drive, you try to move from a 1 terabyte drive to a 420 SSD, it doesn't like it. It gives you all kinds of warning messages.
Huh.
I must have been very lucky. Then I've done it 4 times now, and touch wood, each time it's worked fine.
What did you use, Steve?
Acronis True Image.
Is True Image free?
No. There are versions of it.
Yeah, if you get a Seagate or Western Digital, you can download it from their site. But there are other sort of partition assistant or partition managers which have a clone facility.
Yeah.
That like AOMI or that EaseUS, that'll do it for you. It's just you have to just bite the bullet.
I'll download this AOME one and try that.
Make sure when you bite the bullet that the business end of the bullet is pointing out and not in.
Yeah.
So, Mike,
you want the end with the circle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it? Did you get what you were looking for?
No, what I was looking for was my C920 camera, which I
Yeah.
can't find.
Your
everything seems.
You're low.
Your audio is low too. Did you change?
Nope.
Hmm.
Check.
No, you're low.
You're low.
No, you're low.
Let me see here.
But I mean, is the driver there now? The software for Logitech there now?
It is.
Okay.
Check.
Nothing.
What do you mean nothing?
Oh, you're still
Nothing's
like
changed.
you were.
Nothing
You're
changed.
still low.
It's like you are on the wrong
I may be. Everything.
wrong
here's-
control.
No, you're on the right mic. It's just low.
Maybe this maybe this card doesn't work with Windows 10.
Well,
Did
there's
you-
audio, so obviously, I mean,
Yeah.
something's working.
Your audio is coming through. It's just not quite as at the level that you usually are.
Right. But we also don't see the microphone anymore. Normally, we would see.
How about now? Do I
Oh,
sound
yeah.
like Nick?
Hey, you know what? It's not the way that it
That's
was.
just perfect.
Yeah.
Is this right? I mean, the levels look right on.
Okay,
on
that's
Windows.
better.
That's
That's
like you now. Yeah.
I don't want it better. I want it right.
That's where it should be.
It's more better.
Let me try this.
Much better.
Check.
You sound fine.
Okay.
Well, you can look for the. I mean, the C920 will show up.
Oh, it'll show
But,
up.
I mean,
The
I
thing
thought you
aggravates me.
I thought
It's
you
within 3 or 4 feet of where I'm sitting, probably.
I thought you said the 910 died.
I have 2 of them,
Oh, okay.
but it was not set up.
Okay. All right. Spence, do you want to do specials now or?
I can do them right now. I actually have them up.
Okay.
I'm anticipating your every move, Amnon.
That was like you rehearsed it.
He just asked me to do the specials because he needs to take a bathroom break. So I know that he has his coffee at about 8:30, so 10 o'clock is about the time he has to run off. So that's when the specials happen. I'm just funning you, Amnon. Are we ready?
We're ready.
I am just putting it in there.
And I have a pick from the specials today that I actually have some experience with, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm
Nice.
going to go get coffee because I'm out. It's
Okay.
empty.
2 sugars in mine, please.
Keep your electrolytes in balance.
Yeah.
Okay. Computers 2K Now specials for July 31st, 2016. Starting with staples. You may have noticed some of the marketing news about Apple and how growth on certain products seems to have come to a standstill. So you're starting to see prices come down. So we've got an Apple 12.9-inch iPad Pro, 128 gig, for $799, $150 off the regular price. I know someone who uses this, just switched to this as their regular machine. They run a financial planning business and uses this as his essentially walk around the office machine. Doesn't bring his laptop with him when he does presentations or reviews with customers. He can do that, but he uses this to put the stuff up on the screen and show reports to customers. Very powerful machine. $799, regularly $949. We're getting into the back to school season, so laptops are going to be a big deal. One thing to caution people, don't overbuy. The tendency is to buy the recommended machine from the university, and it's usually high end. Sometimes it's a good deal to buy through them because of the coverage plans, but you got to look at them very carefully. Technology changes pretty quick, but you do not need an i7 Screamer $1,000, $1,200 machine to do most of the things that a university expects you to do with a laptop. That said,
it's just nice to have, though.
It's what? Oh, it's nice to have, but if you're price conscious,
it's just nice to have.
A $300 and a $1,200 laptop, and knowing how these machines get treated, you may be better off buying a $300 laptop new every year. Just replace the old one, and unless they're in a class where they're doing intensive graphics, which will probably be a Mac anyway. I've just seen so many people overbuy machines. Dell AMD A8 laptop, entry-level laptop. A8 is not an entry-level processor though. $249.99, $180 off. Logitech wired full-size illuminated slim keyboard, $59.99, $20 off. 24-inch LED monitor for $99. That's $50 off the regular price. Samsung, this is a nice monitor, true 23.9-inch monitor. This has actually built-in speakers. For $119, that's $60 off the regular price. Dell 3650 desktop machine. This is an i5 for $449.99. That's $160 off the regular price. PNY 480 gig SSD for $134.99. That's $15 off. I think this might be a better deal on this specific drive in the next vendor, but we'll see. OfficeJet 4650 printer for $99.99. That's $70 off the regular price. My good old favorite Brother mono laser printer fax copier, the workhorse that does automatic duplex wireless, has a nice sheet feeder in it. $129.99. That's $70 off the regular price. HP ND 5660 all-in-one printer, really designed for printing photographs and high-quality inkjet. It does have a scanner built into the top. It does not have a feeder. Only the high-end Envy has a sheet feeder. $99. That's $50 off. And this is for Amnon. I don't think he's back yet, but it's got to get him to stop sitting on that exercise ball he has next to his desk and get him a real chair. So here we go. This is for Amnon, the Staples mesh chair for $129. That's $100 off. Amnon, how can you resist?
I think Nick, didn't you say that you have a few of these in the office? The mesh drives. Nick,
I think what? Oh, he's muted.
Yes, we did that as a pick last week. They were
right.
They're really nice chairs.
Oh, how do you like that? See there? There you go. And even though I wasn't here, I was tuned in.
There you go.
All right. Moving on to Best Buy. That all was Staples, by the way. Moving on to Best Buy, we've got a cross-section of laptops. And as I mentioned before, you go from entry-level to high-end. They're starting to have the back-to-school specials here. Asus, Intel dual-core Pentium entry-level machine for $229.99, say $50. Lenovo Yoga, this is the convertible laptop tablet machine with an i5 processor for $699.99, save $100. And on the low end of the high-end scale, Asus i7 15.6 inch for $899.99, save $150. I'll give you three choices for SSDs. 240 gig, these are PNY and SanDisk. 240 for $64.99, save $15. 480 for $113.99, save $66. And here we go, Amnon, 960 gig SSD, $234.99, save $167.
I'm waiting for bigger ones.
Bigger? Okay. Well, you just tape two of them together, and that's bigger.
Now we know where Mike's 920 ended up.
There it is. $62.99. I think that's the lowest price I've seen for that yet.
Yeah, that's
actually a good price. Save $12, and I mean their regular price isn't bad. That's a good deal on the C920 Pro. Save $12. Acer 27-inch monitor for $159.99. Save $90. USB 3.0 to HDMI DVI display adapter, handy thing to have around. $54.99. Save $15. And this is what's going to be my pick today. This is actually a Wi-Fi product that solves a lot of issues. It's expensive, If you bought a high-end router and then bought a bunch of range extenders, you'd be spending the same amount of money. Now, this is not a router. This is just a access point system. But what it does is it builds a mesh inside your home, and it has software to help you plan the mesh. And they talk to each other on a separate radio band than the one you actually use for your devices. This is actually a very commercialized method that's been used for many years for wireless mesh networks. So here it is now in a home version at a really decent price. It's called the EERO, E-E-R-O, Wireless AC Dual Point Wi-Fi Access Point System. It's a 3-pack that's used like a starter kit. You can add more to them, but you essentially daisy chain them together. And I know someone that's using it in their new townhouse, very happy with it. It lets you do dynamic changes on the fly with an app from your smartphone and monitor performance. Just an overall nice product. Does a good job, especially if you have wiring issues. So you plug one of them, of course, has to get plugged into the network with a physical Ethernet connection. But from there on, that's all you need, and they'll talk to each other. It has some healing algorithms in there that will dynamically adjust for interference. So these are what were really high-end features. So that's my pick for today, the EERO system. That's all at Best Buy. At Office Depot, Office Max, we've got a Lenovo IdeaPad 100. This is an i5 machine for $399. That's a good price for an i5. $200 off the regular price. Entry-level HP 14-inch Celeron. What I don't like about this particular machine, 2 gig of memory, yeah, that's enough for Windows 10 Home to limp along. But it's got a solid-state drive, 32 gig solid-state drive. That works fine, but you're going to run out of space real quick. I bought that Dell laptop that had touchscreen laptop with the same 32 gig drive, and I immediately upgraded to a 240 gig SSD. But that's a good price, $209.40 off the regular price. Dell 22-inch widescreen LED monitor for $99.99, $50 off. Logitech wireless keyboard and mouse combo, the MK270 series for $19.99. That's $10 off the regular price. We've got a Craig use once and throw away Android tablet for $34.99. It's normally $69.99, $35 off. Well, you know what I mean. If you use it for a weekend and it, you say, well, that was good. I used it for the weekend and it doesn't work anymore. How jaded we've become, right? But actually, good deal for an expensive Android. For you business owners out there looking to upgrade to QuickBooks Pro and want to add the payroll bundle, here's your deal. Regularly $499 for the 2 packages together. It's $299, $200 off the regular price. And QuickBooks really is kind of the gold standard for managing finances of a small business. And if you want to add the payroll bundle to it, it does a great job.
Yeah, if you think that when Microsoft got you by the cojones.
Oh yeah, QuickBooks has you, but
QuickBooks
they have a
got
good product.
you, and that's it.
But it's a good product.
Yeah,
it works. Texas Instruments. We're getting into back to school season where you're going to have to buy a graphing calculator for many students. This should be considered a one-time investment that once you buy one, it should last throughout the rest of at least their high school career. But TI are the ones to go with, I should say. And can you imagine what a color graphing calculator Amnon would have cost 10 years ago?
Well, I remember that when Hannah needed the TI 84 back in 10.
How much was it?
So it was in the upper 300, upper 2. I mean,
yeah,
it was ridiculous.
119, $30 off the regular price. Incredible. And finally, we've got an AMD A8 desktop computer from Asus for $294.99, $178 off the regular price. That's a good deal on a desktop. That's all at Office Depot, Office Max. And finally, we've got some Newegg deals. I picked up on this today. It says Roswell aluminum body, plastic panel, black satin external enclosure. And hairline aluminum body. What does that mean?
Maybe how.
I still don't really know what it means. Thin, extremely thin, hair thin, I don't know, whatever. But it supports 2.5-inch SATA and SSDs. And it says converts two 2.5-inch SATA drives or one 3.5-inch SATA drive to a 3.5. And I'm not sure what they mean by that, but the point is it's an enclosure and it's cheap. It's $25.99.
Yeah.
So 48% off. Logitech 3-piece 2.1 channel multimedia computer system speaker, $34.95. That's 42% off. Projectors are not as popular as they were for home entertainment anymore because of large screen TVs just are actually cheaper. But if you do have a need to do projection, this is a good deal on a 720p projector from Acer. It's $369.99. It's 44% off the regular price.
It uses 2 watts? What in the world?
I don't know what that means. I'd have to click on it to see what they mean by 2 watts. QC 8-channel surveillance DVR with 8 cameras. This is a heck of a deal. $249.99.
It is.
It's half off. I mean, all of them. You see the ratings on this are not all that great because this is not an easy thing to set up. I set one up for a friend, and it was a couple years ago when the internet access was brand new, and it was hard. I mean, the user interfaces are not easy. They've gotten better. The QC is one of the major brands out there, but for this price to have a DVR, it's got 2 dome cameras and 6 regular bullet cameras, indoor, outdoor. I assume it comes with cable, but this is a good deal, 50% off. And finally, this is for you, Amnon, because I know that you're moving away from using credit cards. You're going to go cash only. That's true.
Yeah, I'm investing. Nice cash drawer for you. I'm investing in color toner.
That's it. Yeah, cash only from now on. So here's a nice cash till for you for $33.29. Actually has coin slots. Look at that. Coins? What are coins? As we go to the cashless society, there are several businesses that have announced that they're going cashless. And I was watching as I had a slice of pizza the other day. People come up and pay with their Apple Pay with their iPhones. It's actually fascinating.
That actually reminds me of the paperless office.
I took my car over to the dealership yesterday to get a recall done, and she's going through the paperwork at the cashier. I paid to have the tires balanced and rotated, so I actually had to pay something. And there must have been 10 sheets of paper. I said, where is the computer's generating more paper than you had before you had computers? And we were talking about, this is supposedly paperless society is just clogged with paper. And the guy behind me says it's the paper mills. They're all behind this.
Yeah, but somebody said we'll never have a paperless office.
Oh, we can't. There's just some things have to.
Until they come up with paperless toilets.
Ooh, I don't want to be around when that happens. Thank you. It's bad enough to have the waterless urinals out there that are suspect. So.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, thanks.
Do you remember the ridicule? I forget. Was it Sheryl Crow that came out to say that people should be limited to 1 square of toilet paper?
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah. That created a lot of ridicule.
And no one said stay out of my bathroom.
Yep.
What, Mike?
And no one said stay out of my bathroom.
Yeah.
That's next. Yep. Wasn't that one of the planks at the Democrat convention? It said we're going to install monitors in all bathrooms to make sure you don't exceed your recommended amount of toiletries.
No, they're going to do like they did on Saturday Night Live. They're going to have a monitor in every bathroom handing out the allotted amount of toilet paper.
That's it. But that's going to create a black market in toilet paper. Watch, you see.
Hey.
Hey, I got extra sheets, $20 each.
Wash and
Double
hang.
ply is $20.
If you're gonna get one, you have to turn in a core.
Oh, yeah. You want to renew your subscription for toilet paper? Let me see the empty roll.
Yep. All right. So a few weeks ago, go ahead.
Picks? Are we gonna do picks, or do you want to do some more stories?
Let's do some more stories. We'll get to the picks.
Okay.
Don't forget. So a few weeks ago, there was an intense discussion on what would happen if Apple next iPhone doesn't have a headphone port, and what that means for the rest of the industry, as well as the pros and cons of ditching the legacy port. Over the past few months, we have seen many smartphone manufacturers launch new handsets that don't have a headphone jack. Mashable has a report in which it says that it is already causing frustration among users. This, I really, I mean, I know we talked about it, but I don't see the reason behind it. What is wrong? I mean, the article went on to say that the 3.5 inch, 3.5 millimeter, not 3.5 inch, connector has been in use for the last 50 years and will probably last another 50 or 100 years. Why change?
Real estate. It's real estate. They want more space inside for components to make this phone smaller, and that particular jack takes up a lot of space. That's why they went to the Lightning connection to do away with the
yes. So
older
now people are going. I mean, a lot of people invested in headsets that they really like that uses the regular 3.5 millimeters. So now they have to get a dongle that will convert from the new port to the old port.
No, they don't.
Why?
Bluetooth.
No, they get a different.
They could at least taken the next step and gone to 2.5 mil instead of 3.5 mil. There's plenty of 2.5 mil socket manufacturers out there already. Why didn't they just go down to 2.5 mil and then, we can't go any smaller than that, then do it?
I think that they don't gain that much real estate by switching the actual physical jack. It doesn't buy them enough. Eliminating it gives them quite a bit more space. So.
And Nick, what did you say?
They said the simple solution is to switch to Android. That's what I'm going to do.
But if more and more are going to, I mean,
more and more won't. Apple is again trying to push industry where it doesn't want to go, like they did with QuickTime, like they did with the FireWire. It'll be in the revisions of their phones for a while, and then they'll have to do something. They love doing this stuff.
Oh, it's their.
I saw an article.
Environmental conscious.
I saw an article this week that said that the iPhone is the most sold item of all time.
Yeah.
And they said they sold 1 billion iPhones.
They made a killing on it.
Yeah, but I mean, and no, talking about numbers, it seems like I remember. I may be wrong, but I remember years ago, McDonald's used to have a sign that says so many millions sold. I wonder how many burgers were sold.
Billions and billions.
Yeah. So, again, it's not the most sold item.
Most sold tech item.
Maybe tech item. Yeah. Right. Mike, are you still adjusting?
I have no idea.
I liked it better in black and white.
Yeah. That's because you're a racist.
Let's see what else. Now, here's, I don't know, I heard the word here quite a few times, LastPass. A dangerous zero-day vulnerability has been found in popular cloud password vault LastPass, which can completely compromise user accounts when users visit malicious websites. The flaw is today being reported to LastPass by established Google Project Zero hacker Travis Ormandy, who says he has found other obvious critical problems. Interestingly, security researcher, has also independently found flaws in LastPass. So if you use LastPass, make sure you keep up on the updates to the program and any changes that you need to make. But yeah, that will be a bummer to expose your vault, all the passwords, if that's what you're using. So if you're using LastPass, that's not KeyPass, that's LastPass.
What do you have to keep up to date with LastPass? It's all online.
Well, I mean, to see what's going on, and if it's still vulnerable and they didn't do anything, then maybe you need to stop using it. That's my point. To keep up with what's going on with it. I mean, they reported it last week to them. I'm wondering if they did anything. And Mike?
Yes, Amnon.
A senior judge has called for the establishment of an online court. There's a warning that the source may be paywalled, that does not have lawyers and can deal with claims up to 25,000 British pounds. This is in the UK, Steve. The proposal is the centerpiece of a package of reforms to the civil justice system drawn by Lord Justice Briggs, a court of appeal judge. Just how exactly will this court ensure no one is, in fact, a trained professional on the internet, where no one knows who you are, who you really are, is not explained. So a court with no lawyers, like I guess a small claims court, you don't take a lawyer with you.
You can.
You can. Okay.
Yeah. In this state, in some states you can't. In California, you can't.
Oh. So that's interesting. It's online.
Okay, so let's talk about that, whether that's a good thing. This past week, a business I know, I'm familiar with, do business with them, they were sued by an unhappy customer. Mm-hmm. And this guy who sued them, he's crazy. I mean, literally crazy. You get in the room with him, you'd want to get up and leave. And he trumped up all these mysterious charges and things they owed him for. So they sued him. So they have to take it seriously, because if they didn't show up, the guy would get a default judgment, meaning would have to pay him the money. Mm-hmm. The guy is not accustomed to dealing with lawyers. He called me and asked me whom I would recommend. Well, the guy I normally recommend is having some major health issues, so he's not the one that I would recommend. And I happen to know another guy whom my daughter had known. So we contacted him, asking him if he would be available to represent them on that day. He said that he was. Now, this is small claims. You say, well, why didn't he just go do it himself? The business is a corporation, and the corporation, just even though you are the sole owner, you don't get to represent the corporation, because under the law, the corporation is a person, and you can't represent another person unless you're a lawyer. So if you're a corporation and you get sued, you have to hire a lawyer to represent you.
Really?
Yep. And now some judges, for example, in real estate matters, will bend the rule a little bit. But so this lawyer goes in there, and the plaintiff, who has to go first, who has to make his case, spent over 1 hour rambling on about nonsense. Mm-hmm. And when he was done, the lawyer wiped the floor with him, and so they walked out, and the guy won, no question. I mean, the retailer won, no questions asked. Who knows what would have happened if he had done it himself? He's not from this country originally. He's legally here. He doesn't know the legal system. So how would he have fared under that system?
Good point. Yeah.
Mike, if anything, I'd say you're a little bit too hot now.
Thank you. Is this any more gooder?
That's gooder.
Okay. I'm on a different computer. This is on the C920.
Who's that?
Which I don't think looks as good as the C910.
Gene is asking, is Chroma saving password safe? What?
Chrome saves passwords.
Chrome.
I use it. I'm hoping it is.
Well, there's one thing you need to know about Chrome, saving it in Chrome, is that unless you turn it off, it syncs it with your Chrome account on Google, which you don't want. So you need to go and I think the trick was, I can't remember, not to log into your Google account or something like that. Like, sign out of your Google account when you use Chrome. But otherwise, it actually syncs it and all your passwords are there. Yeah, I use it. I also use it to save certain passwords. But it's like any other browser that saves. You need anything that saves. You need to be careful with, and anything you write down on sticky notes, you have to be careful with.
Well, if you have nothing to hide, then just publish your passwords on the internet.
Yeah, publish it and let people come in. There was another story about a lawsuit that was brought against Yahoo. Let me see. No, it's not here. Something about the lawyers for the accused, which were drug dealers, wanted to know how Yahoo recovers emails, when in the beginning they told them that they cannot recover any email that was deleted. And apparently they figured it out. But the trick was here that I thought, oh boy, you never think about that, something like that. The way that these guys communicated between themselves, they did not send email. They went to Yahoo and they wrote what they wanted to write and they saved it as a draft, so it will not go out. But they all had the same username and password, so they could go in and see it. Sort of like a Google app thing with a document that other people can go in and share, and you can share it with other users. Here you share it with yourself, so to speak, because you go in as the same user. But they did get caught and they removed it, and Yahoo in the beginning said they cannot recover it, and somewhere along the line they did recover it. So do we say Yahoo anymore, or do we call them Verizon now?
Well, I had a question about that because AT&T uses Yahoo's email system.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
Well, I mean, what are they going to do?
I don't know. It seems crazy. I never understood why AT&T is using Yahoo for their email.
Because they probably manage email about as well as they do their internet services. They farm it out to try to find somebody who knows what they're doing, and somehow because of they chose Yahoo.
It didn't make sense. It never worked right for people that did not use theirs, because it was very tricky. It still is very tricky to be able to send email out of your account if you have your own domain and it's not with AT&T, and you want to use Delta Force's outgoing server because you have your emails on Delta Force, but you have AT&T at home as a provider. They make it almost impossible. They want you to use the @att.com email, or you have to go through loops to okay it that you will be able to use your own domain name not using their server to send email out. Time Warner, it's nothing. I mean, you just use whoever and you authenticate. Not with AT&T. So yeah, that will be interesting now to find out what
you mean not with AT&T's email, because I use AT&T and I do it with my own server with no issues.
Right. You must have had to do something in the beginning to okay it, because if you're using AT&T bandwidth, so to speak, the provider is AT&T, but your email is your own email server with your own domain, they don't let you send out unless you go on their website and you click some, I can't remember. I never got into it. You click something and you say, yeah, I want to use this domain name, and they somehow authenticate that it is really yours, and then they allow you to send.
Okay, I'm not having that problem, but I may have been early.
Yeah, I mean, being in the business I'm in, I see a lot of people that says, well, I can't use it. And it's always hard to do it. So in the last year or so, I've been telling people, well, just set your outgoing to be theirs and send it through them. Don't worry about it.
If I couldn't use my own email server with the service, I'd discontinue the service.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but a lot of people don't care about that. As long as they can send email.
Well, if I had it to do over again, my email address would be a Gmail.
Yeah, AT&T used, Wiggs is saying, AT&T used to block outgoing email ports to stop spammers. That is the biggest quacky solution to spam that I've ever heard.
Well, now you know, Amnon, no spammer would know to switch ports.
They still block port 25.
Right.
So they want you to use 587. So what's the difference? It's not like, hey, just between us, use 587. It'll work.
One is TLS and the other is...
you can use SSL on it.
One's SSL, one's TLS, and they are not universal as the RFC says they should be, by the way.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking older email clients. The security implementations, for example, for Outlook 2003 and 2013 are very different. Been there, done that.
All right. I think Nick is anxious. I'm not going first.
What are you talking about?
Picks.
Oh. Who wants to start then?
By the way, there's this we have decided off the air that this segment has been modified slightly. It is now the pick, no pick.
That's a shame.
Well, we got to do that next week then.
Anyway, I'll start next week.
I thought it was going to be called Pick or Snot.
Steve.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So you can do a pick or a not pick.
Yeah, pick or not pick.
Pick or snot.
I prefer it to be called Pick or Snot, but never mind. That's just me, my British sense of humor.
Works.
So that means that we will either give you something we really like and recommend, or something that we really don't like and suggest you avoid.
I've got a snot.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to try to think of something.
Steve, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, then. Let me just try and sort my dog out. Somebody else go ahead first. Bobby, no. She's woken up, and typical. Especially to wake up now.
I don't know. She seems real still to me.
Yeah, there she does. People see her here. She's gone mental. Go and settle down. I'll be back in a minute.
Mike,
do you have a pick?
All right, I'll do mine.
Okay, yeah.
I have a really unusual one this week. It's a program I've actually used for 6 or 7 years. I don't use it regularly, but it saved my bacon a long time ago, and it's a go-to program. Now, it's a paid program. It costs $29, but there is a free 30-day trial, and it's limited to like 5 drives. So for trying and playing with it, that's perfectly fine. You can decide if it's anything that you need, but it's kind of confusing as to what it does. The name of the program is Advanced File Organizer from softprime.com. Advanced File Organizer. What's interesting about it is that, based on what I see, it has not been updated since 2007. This morning, I loaded it on Windows 10 to see if it would even load and work, and from what I can tell, it loads and works fine. It doesn't even kick in UAC or anything when you start it. About 4 years ago, I wrote the guy who developed it and asked him, I said, "Are you going to be updating it?" And a couple of days later, he wrote back. He said, "Well," he said, "I can, but what would you have it do that it does not now do?" And I couldn't suggest anything. The features are all there. Apparently it works. It was written well, works with the operating systems now, so maybe there's no reason to update it. But here's the thing. If you have a lot of hard drives laying around, like I do, I've got at least 50 hard drives, working hard drives laying around, and you're looking for a file, what are you going to do? You're going to go look on each drive? Well, what happened was, this is a long story made short, but my father was involved in a landmark decision at the FCC that changed the entire face of the radio industry. And that action was called Rulemaking 2587. Well, I had, back when I was in law school in the 90s, I had a copy of Rulemaking 2587. One day I was thinking about it and decided, well, I'm going to go download it and save it for posterity purposes. It's an important document. Well, it's nowhere to be found. It's nowhere to be found. It's before, it was in the late 70s. It's nowhere to be found on the FCC website. I can't find it anywhere. Well, that stinks because I wanted to have a copy of it. I remembered having a copy of it when I worked for a company back in Cary back in the mid-90s. I had this Advanced File Organizer program. I had all these hard drives unrelated to this effort to find this file. I would go through, and what you do is you connect the hard drive and tell this program to profile the drive. It goes through, writes down every file that it finds on the drive, puts it into a database, and so that if you name the drives and put a label on them, such as Amnon 001, Amnon 002, you look for a file in the database. If it finds it, it'll say, oh yes, it's in this folder on Amnon 002. It's really handy to find files on these older drives. It's also a good idea to power these drives up once a year to keep them from freezing. Well, having said all that, when I was looking for this file, I got the bright idea that I would go through Advanced File Organizer to see if I could find this file. And that's when it blew me away. I typed in the name of the file, and it found it from a floppy drive that had been copied to hard drive in the 90s, and it was inside a zip file. I was able to unzip that file, and there it was, RM2587. Now, again, since it's free to try, I would suggest that if you want to catalog, that what you do is you download it and play with it for a full 30 days, make sure it works, does what you want. The free limit drive, it may be workable forever without even having to buy it based on what your needs are. The free version would not do, I bought it, the free version would not do what I want. But it may be a solution that I've yet to find anywhere else. Whenever Windows 7 and those came along, then I was told, no, there are ways to copy files and keep copies, and they can search deep. Well, maybe all that's true, but I will tell you that it was wonderful to find this file buried inside a zip file. This program will even look inside ISOs and catalog the files it finds in those. So I would suggest, if it's something you think you might need, it's called Advanced File Organizer from softprime.com. And if you use it and have any success with it or don't like it, as with any of our picks or snots here, then I would suggest that you let us know. And Wiggs wants to know if it will work with MFM or SCSI. I don't know. My suggestion is that if Windows can read the drive, then it's going to work with it. That's my thought. It's a Windows program.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Steve, are you back?
Yes, the dog's chewing on a rope now, so she should be okay, hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah, I had some experience this week. Amnon was there when I was going through the experience. I have a program I bought in a bonus bundle some time back. In fact, with the Cronus True Image one version, and there was 4 or 5 other programs for sort of giveaway price, really. And I thought, well, I'll do that. I'll go for the bundle because inevitably I'll want to use 1 or 2 of them at some point. It's from a company that most people have heard of called Laplink, and it's called PC Mover. And now I've got the desktop machine here, and I've also got the new tablet now. And by the way, this is a snot, not a pick. It looked great. The write-up and everything about it looks great, but it worked what appeared to be great, and there it fell down. What it's supposed to do is to take all your programs, settings, and documents and pictures and music and whatever else have you from one computer. You attach the drive through USB adapter or whatever from the old computer or the one you want to copy to the new one, and it merrily goes off, finds all the programs, and then you can go through and selectively check which ones you want, which ones you don't want, etc., and then hit the go for it button, or the button that says next, I think. And then it just merrily copies everything across and makes changes to your registry and all the other bits and pieces of information that it thinks that you're going to need that should run on the newer machine, shall we say. It didn't work very well. Funnily enough, Firefox worked brilliantly. It loaded it up even though it wasn't installed on the new machine. And a few of the programs seemed to work okay, but the ones I was most interested in, they didn't. For instance, Pro. It started to run and then said, oh, it hasn't, the installation is corrupt, you need to reinstall it. Of course, I don't have a DVD drive on the tablet, so I'd have to sort of dig out a portable drive, blah, 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 and no, I dare say it would probably work. All my files and things would have been copied across from it. But on reflection, I think if you had some programs that you no longer have the original media for on an old computer that you want to put through on a new computer, it might be worth the expense of buying it and trying it. I don't think it's that expensive. I didn't actually look to check how much, sorry, but it's Laplink PC Mover. It might be worth your time and effort, maybe for 3 or 4 programs if you absolutely cannot get hold of the media to install on the new system and copy all your settings and everything else across. It might be worth an effort to give it a try. It appeared to work for some and not for others, but it was a waste of a day for me.
Okay.
But that's it.
So that's a snot.
That's a snot.
All right. And for people referencing the website, the not picks will not be linked, obviously. It'll just be the name to them. So it'll be a way to tell. What do you got, Amnon?
What I've got is I have a computer that's all in one. An HP touch screen and all that I was talking about, that I did not want to put Windows 10 on because I didn't know if the drivers would work and everything. But the thing wasn't working. It wouldn't come up. It was sitting here for about a year or so, and it wouldn't come up. And reading online and all that, and HP is telling you that this video may have gone wrong, bad, or this has gone bad. And some people were saying you really have to change the power supply. It's an external power supply. It's a brick. So I had another one that's from HP that wasn't exactly for that machine, but it was the trick on it was that the plug is one of them that has it's really like the new laptops. It's really fat, and it actually has 3 connectors in it, unlike the old ones, which only have 2 connectors in them. So the outer part of the plug is one conductor. The inner part of it is another conductor, and the pin in the middle is the third conductor. So it wouldn't work, and I went looking, and I bought one online that said that it was for it, and it did not work. I went and started searching I called HP, and I got the part number for the power supply, their part number. And she told me, she said, I can send you one right now. It's $84. And I said, no, I'll call back. Let me go and search if I can find it any cheaper. Now, the one that I ordered that did not work was something like $970 or something like that. It had the same plug, and it is 19 volts and 6.5 amps. So I went and started searching for the part number on eBay. And there were 3 dealers that had that part number. They were saying compatible with, replacement for, and the cheapest one was $20, $19.90 some. So I went ahead and ordered. Worked like a charm. So you don't have to buy this is a replacement, and it's made in China and all that. I mean, it's a big, it's bigger than the original one, size-wise. But you don't have to buy the original one from the manufacturer if they're going to charge a lot. And I've never did it like this, of getting the part number and looking at that way. And I bought many power supplies for laptops and things like that. But this particular one, there was one thread on the HP blog that people were talking. They said, if you just change it, if you have another one like it, just put another one and it will work. Even though this one checks out as far as the voltage, you check it and it's correct. And it's weird. It's the middle pin and the outer shell is 19 volts, and the inner shell and outer shell is 10.5. I actually went and got another connector from a bad supply, cut it off to see how they are wired, and connected it to one that the plug did not fit exactly, but it didn't work. So getting the one that was for it, and people knew that it was made for that, saved the day. I plugged it in, poof, came right up. Same voltages as the one that didn't work. Same plug. The old one did not bring it up. The new one did. I bent the pin. I squeezed the connector a little bit, thinking maybe nothing. Go figure.
The big question is, did you load Windows 10?
No, it had. It's a Celeron. It's an old machine, Celeron, and it's 2 gig.
Single processor.
Single processor.
Yeah.
And
So
LXLE, try that.
no, I mean Windows 7 is fine on it.
Oh.
The main reason I didn't even want to try is because of the fact that I don't have the actual CD for a DVD with the drivers, and it's touch screen and all that. And I didn't want to mess that up. So I said, no, Windows 7 is fine. Leave it alone.
what is your so what's your actual pick then?
So
The power
well,
supply,
it's
or-
not. It's the idea of you have to buy. If it doesn't work, I was getting ready to go and order the one from HP, and I said, "Oh, let me look by the part number. So there is really no pick with a link to it, but you don't have to buy the one from the manufacturer. You can find ones that work. Sure, I return
all the time with for appliance parts or electrical components, things like that. You go with the original part number, you search it, and you'll find all these alternatives.
Yep.
Very reasonable. I needed bearings for an angle grinder. I blew one of the bearings up, and I found the manual. I found the original part number from the manufacturer. Searched on eBay. I found
the right one.
A sleeve of 10 bearings for $5.
Yep.
I mean, I could have bought the original. I could have bought it from Sears with the part number from the manufacturer for $15 for one.
Yeah.
And I got, enough to rebuild this thing 5 to 10 times.
That's
you can do the same thing with batteries for things like, I think you call them batteries, but we call them batteries for cameras and things like that, and portable devices that are specific batteries. You can find by doing a search for the model number a hell of a lot cheaper online.
Right. And I could return the other one, telling the person that did not work, even though you said that it was for that model number. I mean, they actually had the model number of the computer listed.
Well, in all fairness, it's not 100% that this is going to work.
Right, and I agree. Yeah. But that's the thing. You need to read, make sure that you can return it, and the person that it didn't fit, I mean, was gracious enough. They sent a label. They paid for the shipping and all that because it did not work. Plugged in. When I plugged this one in, I said, it's probably not going to work. Sure enough, bam, it came right up. So, yep. You do your research and try to find a compatible one with the part number, not of the device that you are trying to replace it for, but the actual part number. Like if it's a power supply you're trying to replace, look for the part number. And if the old one is also an OEM, find out the original one from the manufacturer. And look for that. Worked for me.
Awesome.
No wigs. I did not test the voltages under load. You can't. I mean, I wouldn't know how to plug it in and try to. I mean, with this particular device, when I say it didn't come up, you plug it in and the power button will flash 3 times, and that's it. And you press it, and it flashes 3 times. So it was putting something in there, but go figure. I don't know. Who cares at this point? All right, that was it.
At this point, what difference does it make?
Right. Somebody famous said, right?
So, yeah, I've got my pick is I've been using this thing for a while, and I'm not really sure how important it is. I'm not sure how many people would actually get use out of something like this. But it's a 1-to-4 HDMI splitter. So you have 1 input and 4 outputs on this. It's kind of a unique situation where you would use one of these. Not many people need to split an HDMI source 4 different ways. For example, the setup I have here, I've got my TV hooked up to I've got my cable box hooked up to my TV. It goes into one of my monitors, and it also goes into a capture card. So I have the TV going into the input, and then the cable box going into the input. One of the output 1 is the TV, output 2 is the a computer monitor, and then output 3 is the capture card. And this is the REI HDMI splitter. And the other benefit of this as well, that where it may be worth it, is if you have an HDCP issue and you need to strip HDCP from typically laptops or something like that. This is I'm using it for that. I know Amnon is using it for that, and I know other people are using it for that as well.
Well, I'm using it before you told me, because you told me to use it, and it's doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, so it's not HDMI stuff is expensive. It's all digital. So this is a $35 box. But if you really need to either strip HDCP or want to be able to push through, 1 to 4 input output, this is great for it. It's a powered switch, so obviously you've got to plug it in, but it'll do full 1080p, and it also pushes through HD or 3D as well.
And what was it? HDCP?
Yeah, and it strips the HDCP, so it'll do
yep.
it'll do. It's not a cheap splitter. It will do if you have a 3D source, it will push through the 3D to a 3D TV, with no issue. And I've actually tested that with it, and it works. So this is the REI or the OREI HD 104 powered HDMI splitter. I know most people don't need to do splitting like that, but it works.
So it splits. Excuse me. So if you had like one TV but it only had one HDMI input, it would split 3 or 4 into one.
No, it's the other way. That's why I'm not sure how many people get a use out of it. It's one input, 4 outputs. So you can plug a single source into it and put that source to 3 different. If you had one cable box, you could put that cable box to 3 TVs. If you have 3 HDMI cables.
I remember some time back there was an audio switch that switched what was it, 3 I think into 1, but that worked both ways. So the way I used it, it was designed to put 3 inputs into 3 devices into 1 input, but it worked backwards. So I wanted it to come 3 devices into 1 record input, if that makes sense. I basically used reverse action.
No, I haven't tried it.
No, it doesn't work backwards. It's a 1 to 4 splitter. It's not a switch that you can plug. It only works one way.
Wouldn't you be surprised to find out that it does work?
What do you mean?
I mean, who knows? I mean, did you try? I didn't try.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It's got HDMI. It's got 1 input and 4 outputs. There's no way to switch. There's no switching mechanism. It's just it's a splitter.
So it doesn't. You don't switch like A, B, C, D.
No,
because there's only 1 input, so there's no way to switch. Like you literally, there's a power button. That's the only button on the box.
Right. Okay. If it has manual switches, you might be able to do it then.
Steve,
yeah, but there is no switch.
Steve, this is just like a power strip.
Exactly. It's exactly a power strip. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's most people don't have any use for this, but especially if you have a cable box in a room where you also have a computer and a TV, your computer monitor has got most of your computer monitors probably have HDMI, so you can split your cable box to your TV and to your HDMI computer monitor, and that'll and you can watch TV on the monitor if you need to.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And it's real time, so I use it. I play video games with it, and there's no delay.
The people that are out there online, that's how you're watching it right now. I use it I split it. One image goes to the recorder. One image goes out to the other machine to do the streaming on the CDNs that we stream from that machine. And the third one, I can't remember where the third one goes. I have 3 of them going out. I don't remember. But
yeah, and Wiggs also points out that there's a 1 to 2 HDMI splitter box. Yeah. I don't know if that one does the HDCP or not. I would assume it does. But if you're really trying to get rid of HDCP, I can only recommend the 1 to 4 because I know for a fact
that the HDCP has to do with protection.
High definition,
right?
Yeah, high definition copyright protection.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's my pick.
Yup. Y'all. All right. It's that time again.
Yep.
And actually, I want something else I want to mention.
Go ahead.
I just spent some time looking through the Google Fiber page on Facebook. I didn't even realize they had one. It turns out that they are already signing up. They already have users in Charlotte. I didn't realize that it was actually being installed in Charlotte. I'm going to post the link to the to the Facebook page, and I don't know I don't know if I clicked on Charlotte or something. You can figure it out yourself. But the comments here are not good.
I was at the Y today, and one of the guys there that watches the show. I haven't been to the Y in a long time. Say, hey, I'm not. We start talking. He said, you know what? One of my neighbors was telling me that they saw some people laying cable fiber, and they went to talk to them and say it's for Google Fiber, and that it's already available a couple of blocks away, that there are people. And I said, no, I don't think so.
Not true, because if you go to their website, in the Google Fiber website, it tells you which communities are accepting installations.
So when you say it's not good,
the comments, I mean, I don't know, we're over time, but they comment, how soon will installations begin for those who signed up already? Some homes immediately are ready to schedule installation, while most require 2 to 3 months for us to install a new utility box. The guy says, it'd be great if you didn't cut our gas line 100 times in a month. Another guy says, I know you were in my neighborhood. I can look at the lawns in my driveway. And so can you tell us when is the timeline to get Google Fiber for a given address? Our typical time frame for installation is a 6-month goal from sign up. However, this can shorten or lengthen depending on numerous factors detailed here at this website. Then the one guy says, get to Ballantyne as soon as possible. We have no time frame for that. Waiting for you in Cotswold. We have no time frame for that. And what does another guy said? The guy
6
says,
months isn't bad. Is for them to completely roll out the new complete infrastructure. They're not saying 6 months from it being. They're not saying it's 6 months from it being laid in your yard to when you sign up.
Well, one guy says, when will you be repairing our lawns, the bald patches that won't grow? Another guy says, you tore up my yard, then my driveway, then you repoured the concrete badly even after I told them what they were doing wrong. You tore up the neighbor's bad driveway and replaced it that day. My concrete still has surface cracking unrepaired, which will worsen when cold weather or freezing occurs. I've notified several people, no contact about repair or replace. I hope their actual services are better than what I've received so far, and no, I don't think I want to use their fiber. And someone says, so folks up and down my street have it. I signed up on Friday, no idea. I called in, they said it would be months. Really? Wow. Now I have to bring in Time Warner cable again. Blah. And the reason why is because they do a sign-up period that says that if you can get enough people in your neighborhood to sign up for Google Fiber, that's where we're going to install first.
Yeah.
If you go to the Charlotte page for Google, I think it's Google Fiber /Charlotte or /neighborhood /Charlotte, something like that. It says that if you live in this community, you have until September 1st to sign up. If enough people don't sign up, they won't get it into your community. And if you don't sign up by September 1st, they won't put you on the list.
I've heard multiple stories about them installing and cutting Time Warner coax everywhere, just knocking out people's cable service, not paying attention to, or not even using any markings on the ground. They don't send those crews in to mark utilities. They just go in and just, brute force this stuff in. You see the drilling trucks everywhere where they're drilling under roads.
Yeah.
And they're not doing such a good job. It's definitely a low ball bid on the contractor to install the stuff.
Here's an interesting article about all this. It says, while Google Fiber gets a massive amount of media hype justly based on its disruptive speed and price point, the reality is that despite numerous city launches, not that many people can actually get the service. But while many ISPs and analysts have dismissed Google Fiber as an adorable experiment that will never impact them, many of these folks have been forced to changing their tune as Google Fiber's list of planned launch cities grows larger. In a profile piece over at USA Today, the company once again notes that while Google Fiber may have begun as a PR exercise, it's now dead serious about being a large, nationwide, disruptive kick in the ass for incumbent broadband providers. It is indeed a real business, and it's serving to increase competition as well. And that's something that we don't mind. Google Fiber boss and former Qualcomm executive Dennis Kish tells the paper, we think it's healthy for the market and for consumers. So they're not saying that they are not talking about all this in order to disrupt. They are using it to disrupt, and it does impact certain places where prices will go down and packages will come up from the incumbents and all that, and they're not there yet. So, yeah.
All right, well, I'm digging out of here, guys. So,
all right.
Keep your fingers crossed.
The what?
Keep your fingers crossed.
For?
Everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a good one.
Thank you, Steve. You too.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. I'll say good morning to Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you learned something from our time together and enjoyed it. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. While you're at it, like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. At 12 o'clock today, it's the Gisela show and no Tanya show tonight. We'll see you later.
You're tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, My Life, My Will with Gisela DiCarlo, The Tanya Love Show, Health Then with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Triangle Be Well with Howard Jacobson, Lunch and Learn with Rabbi Yisrael Cutler, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, Current Affairs with Amnon Nissan. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section on nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Atomos.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.